Gianni Infantino has had an absolute nightmare over the past few weeks, extending to months if you want to include the issues at the World Cup such as high ticket prices, red card suspensions, and Iran not being allowed to stay in the US. All the news recently, however, has been showcasing his blatant corruption, with him flaunting it now with reports he wants to give Morocco the World Cup final in exchange for his support, coming after his attempts to sell off shares in the World Cup itself in an attempt to raise even more money. FIFA earned record-setting revenue from this World Cup, by the way. In the wake of these plans, federations from across the world came out against Infantino's efforts to privatise the World Cup, with UEFA federations agreeing to form a boycott. With the exception of the Czech FA president, every federation has come out against the plan, including the SFA, but many people have been questioning the contents of their statement. This is because the SFA statement was incredibly short, with the only reference to Infantino's plan reading, "The Scottish FA Board agrees unequivocally with the concerns raised by all members over the manner in which these proposals have been issued and deadlines set, without a full consultation process or consideration to good governance." The cynics claim that this is only protesting the way the privatisation plan had come out, rather than the plans itself. This, alongside the fact that Wales and England, alongside other nations, have revoked their support of Infantino for next year's elections, while the SFA have yet to confirm whether they are revoking or keeping their support. The reason for fans' concerns over some kind of secret support from the SFA towards Infantino lies with one man: Mike Morini. Mike Morini, unlike many people I have talked about on this channel, is both a successful businessman and someone who's been involved in football for a long time. Morini has been proven successful in properties, logistics, and other industries before being appointed to the board of directors as president of his local side and the team he actually supports, Alloa Athletic, all the way back in 2004. Under Morini's stewardship, Alloa went from the 4th tier to the Championship and in recent years have established themselves as one of the top part-time sides in the country. 2016, however, would see Morini given a position on the board at the Scottish Football Association, where in 2019 he would become vice president before being elected president in 2023. October 2025, however, would see another new position for Morini as he would be appointed the chairperson of FIFA's Finance Committee. Not bad for someone who was chairman of Alloa. As chairperson of the Finance Committee, his first job was announcing the 2025 financial review, which showed that FIFA were sitting with a total assets worth of nearly $9.5 billion and a budget for 2027 to 2030 that will be financed thanks to an expected revenue of $14 billion from the World Cup. Of course, all this money wasn't enough for Infantino, who seemingly behind everyone's back, decided to court private investment for a new money-making scheme to enrich himself, FIFA, even more. Infantino, in an attempt to try and garner any support, offered a base sum of £15 million for all members, with Lowe supporting his deal, earning £30 million, which, considering the SFA had a total turnover of £80 million, which turned into a £2 million profit, you can see why concerns for support would come around. Of course, the previously mentioned SFA statement would come out showing their disapproval for the plan, but this came at the same day as the UEFA emergency meeting, where it was mentioned in a report from The Independent, around 50 to 60% of the countries got an opportunity to give their views, and the figure that offered the most tempered view was Scotland. Others, meanwhile, believe those close to Infantino are going to try and pick off any vulnerabilities. A tempered view from Scottish representatives suggests that there may be insider knowledge on the plan due to Morini's role, and that line about those being close to Infantino may confirm it. Before the SFA put out their statement, the Scottish Football Supporters Association put out a list of demands asking the SFA to commit to opposing measures that further price ordinary supporters out of future World Cups, calling for meaningful consultation with recognised supporter organisations before significant commercial changes are approved, ensuring that supporter experience is measured by accessibility, atmosphere and participation, not simply by revenue generated, championing affordable ticketing and meaningful supporter representation within FIFA, and recognising and promoting the wider economic value that supporters bring to countries through tourism, international goodwill, cultural diplomacy, that whole sort of stuff. The SFA statement kind of covered it, but it was a bit vague with the line, We are also aligned with our fellow national associations who seek to ensure our collective voice is heard resoundingly, and that the Corinthian spirit which underpins a beautiful game, invented here in Scotland and shared with the world, is protected, being attached at the end. With all the aforementioned information, then, it may seem like the SFA being silent on the issues at hand may suggest some kind of secret backing to Infantino's plans, but there's a very real chance that is not the case. With the SFA having Morini in a high up position in FIFA, it gives him a little bit more power and sway on decisions made by the organisation as a whole rather than whatever Infantino wants to do. This means they are in a more powerful position to strong arm internal policy and debate rather than shouting it out from the rooftops. It also means that come election time next year, if Gianni is still around, they will have a more powerful voice for swaying votes against it. It's hoped then that the SFA are simply laying low to maintain their position, but as fans it is frustrating to see as more and more nations are publicly coming out against Infantino. John McLean, who is the CEO of the SFSA, has said it is very difficult to justify a neutral or silent position on offence surrounding FIFA and their president. We obviously cannot know what is being said privately, but the public stance being taken by some European FAs should be supported by anyone who values good governance and supports the concept of holding rogue Belgium conduct to account, suggesting that the lack of public acknowledgement of the situation is only fueling these conspiracies. So, do I think the SFA secretly supports Infantino then? I'd certainly hope not. Anyone at the SFA coming out in support of him at this stage would be committing career suicide and would be hounded out of the job. Of course, as has been well documented, it is an almost unified European effort against him, with those still coming out in support are exactly the kind of nations you'd expect. It's like the powerhouses of Qatar, Sri Lanka, and some country called Argentina. I reckon this will be a case of fans piling on outside pressure to make sure they make the right decision, while all the political nonsense takes place behind closed doors, which we're never going to see it. Once election day comes out, we'll find out whether or not Infantino's in a job or not. Although saying that, it has now come out that he has been using UEFA funds to pay off a mistress, so I have a feeling he's not even going to make that March election day at this rate. That's all for this video, and of course, I hope you enjoyed. Do you think the SFA will come to a sensible decision, or will they let us down as per usual? Let us know in the comments below. Channel memberships are available. Those who have signed up have their name on screen now. Liking, sharing, and subscribing are all appreciated, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.